The bottom of the deck, Virgo, we have the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups is a wonderful new opportunity. Something to do with emotional fulfillment. Your cup runneth over here, as you can see from this picture. The Ace of Cups is the universe offering you a new beginning in love. Okay, so something new starting or beginning around either your love life or something that will bring you emotional fulfillment. So it's not always love, it can be something you love to do. So if you're looking for a new career in something that is close to your heart, this could be signifying the universe offering you an opportunity to pursue that. But most of the time we talk about an opportunity in love coming into you. So that's a nice card. So Virgo, let's have a look at your first card here. The Eight of Swords. So you might be feeling a little bit stuck here, Virgo. This is the card of feeling that you don't know how to move forward, or you can't see a way of moving forward. So feeling hemmed in and stuck by a situation that you have had to endure or are enduring. However, it is kind of a card of feeling mentally stuck. It doesn't always translate into the fact that you are physically stuck or stuck for a choice of how to move. It just means that mentally you're feeling that you are maybe not able to put one foot in front of the other. If you look very closely, this lady has the bonds that are holding her are really not that tight, and she can shake them off if she wanted to, then lift her hand and remove the blindfold, and then she would discover that this Ring of Swords isn't closed. There is actually a gap through which she can then walk through in order to progress. So this is the card of feeling stuck, not necessarily being stuck. So all you have to do is shake off your bonds, remove your blindfold. So perhaps it's something you don't want to see, or you're in a little bit of denial about. So it may be time to really take a good look at your situation and start to look at what the truth of the situation is, and look at what you can do to move forward and to move past this feeling of being stuck. The next card I have for you is the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords is representative of a Libran, an Aquarian, or a Gemini. If it's not one of those signs, it can be any sign really, but it would mean someone who thinks very logically, doesn't stand for any nonsense. The Queen's not an emotional type of person. And if they are, the emotions don't rule them. They're more intellectual, they're more intelligent, they're more ruled by their thoughts, and they make decisions based on logic. So it could be that this Queen is coming in to say that you need to make some sort of decision here in order to move forward. It may be that you have to cut away, use this sword to cut away things that are no longer of value or use to you in your world. Could be moving on from a situation, perhaps a relationship, a friendship that's not working out, a situation at work, maybe you don't feel fulfilled in your work life. Perhaps you're taking part in hobbies or clubs and things where you're not really feeling that you belong. So this is really you cutting through what's no longer useful in your life and trying to make a decision to move on. The next card I have for you is the Devil. So the Devil speaks of, it can speak of many things. It speaks of feeling tied and feeling stuck in a situation. And again, this chimes in with this Eight of Swords and the need to make some kind of decision, logical decision, and use your thoughts and your intellect to get yourself out of this situation. So this can represent toxicity in an environment. It can also represent addictions. Sometimes we think of addictions as maybe drugs or drink or alcohol, but addictions can also be to a person or feeling bonded, unhealthily bonded to some kind of person or situation. So it may be, Virgo, that you are feeling stuck in a situation that is not healthy for you, and you're looking for a way to cut these bonds of bondage and to move forward with your life. The chains are not very tight. Again, it's similar to the bonds in the Eight of Swords card. The chains are not tight. You could lift these off and walk away. So it's perhaps just your way of thinking that has you trapped here. Perhaps you feel if you leave this situation, let's say, for instance, a relationship that you've been in quite a long time, you've maybe become a little bit unhealthily dependent or codependent. Again, this can be the card of codependence. And it may be that you're a little afraid to move forward because you're not sure you could cope on your own. But whatever this bondage is, you really need to think about making a choice here, a decision on how to cut away what is no longer serving you in your life. Okay, could be a person, it can be anything. It could be excessive eating. Perhaps you need to look at your diet. Could be working too long. Could be a relationship. So the next card I have for you is the King of Wands. The King of Wands can represent a fire sign. That's Aries, Sagittarius or Leo. Perhaps you found yourself in a toxic situation with a Sagittarius or a fire sign, either at work possibly or in a relationship. And it could be this person that you're looking to break away from. The fire signs can be quite adventurous kind of people. They can be quite flirty. They can be quite exuberant. And it may be that it's not a good mix for you who's more intellectual and logical. Okay. Well, whoever this is and whatever the situation is, it's not looking very, very healthy. Okay, so perhaps it's this person you need to be looking at changing your relationship with, possibly moving on, or just releasing that need, releasing the imbalance in the neediness that perhaps you have at the moment in order to let you break these bonds and move forward. So the next card we have is the Temperance card. Now, I have shuffled this pack really well, Virgo, and in the last 5 readings, Temperance has come out. I don't know whether we're having an epidemic of imbalance, but I have had at least the last 4 signs, as well as yourself, have this card come out at some position in the reading. So balance is a very important thing. Could be this toxicity has left you unbalanced, okay? Could be an imbalance of emotion in that you've been bonded too close or possibly codependent to this person. It can be a Sagittarius. This is the card of Sagittarius, and that would tie in with a fire sign. So you may be dealing here with a fire sign or in some kind of friendship or relationship. It could be a fire sign at work. It doesn't necessarily have to be a love relationship. However, it tends towards that because of such a card here and such an excessive feeling of entrapment almost. This can mean you're feeling trapped in a situation that's not healthy, and that would again echo the Eight of Swords. So you could be dealing with a Sagittarius here. And this card is coming in to tell you that you need to get some kind of balance back in your life, whether that's emotional, in that you need to start doing a few extra things for yourself rather than being dependent on this person. You need to start spending maybe a little less time worrying about what they're up to and concentrating more on your own life, your friends, your hobbies, your family, and creating a bit more balance so that you're not as dependent on the one person here. Even if you stay in the relationship, there is something that needs to be balanced within it to allow you to move forward in a healthy manner and perhaps have a new start within that relationship. It doesn't always necessarily mean that you have to move away from the person. However, if this is so highly toxic it's making you ill, or perhaps some time away from this person is just what the doctor ordered, so to speak. So the need to balance some sort of area of your life. It can be physical balance. You could be exhausted by whatever this person, if this person is not behaving in a healthy manner. Excuse me. Perhaps this person has addictions. You could be involved with someone who has addictions, whether they're obvious or whether their behaviour is a bit inexplicable, and you don't know about the fact that they might have addictions. Some people, keep them very well hidden, and they only come to the surface through their behaviour rather than the addiction itself. So this is asking you to try and regain some balance. Could be emotional, physical, mental, or all of the above. And it could be also asking you to gain some balance in how often, you're seeing this person. Maybe you want to spread your social life out a little bit so that this person is not the only person you're becoming reliant upon. The next card I have for you is the Hierophant. The Hierophant represents organisations, represents tradition. It can represent church. It can represent anywhere where there are traditional values or traditional laws in place. So it can represent an organisation like a higher education institution. Perhaps this person, maybe you work in an organisation, you've maybe met this person through your work. And therefore, sometimes there's a false sense of knowing someone through your work. And if you do get involved with someone from your work, you can almost have that false sense of already knowing them, and it may be there are some hidden things that you find out later on down the line, and it's quite difficult because you've already become quite attached to the person that you thought you knew, and maybe something's come out about their behaviour that's making things out of balance. So this could be an organisation. It can also represent you having quite traditional views. So, you may be a person here with this energy, and you have quite traditional views, and this person's behaviour may be tipping the balance and maybe not going along with what you view as how you should traditionally behave in a relationship. So it could be that as well. So anything to do with organised societies, places of higher learning, places of religion, societies, could be someone you're involved in through that kind of thing. So the next card I have for the overall energy is the Two of Swords. This ties in a little bit with feeling stuck because this card represents an impasse. So it may be, Virgo, that you've come to a situation here where it's become so toxic that you need to make a decision. This is saying that you need to make some sort of decision about this relationship, or be it a friendship, a work relationship, or an actual love relationship. You need to make some decision because it isn't healthy, and you do need to gain more balance. Could be the decision is to spend a little less time together. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to give it up. However, if it's become so toxic that it's making you feel stuck, trapped, and unhealthy, ill, then perhaps you need to think about making a decision to remove yourself from that. And it may be that you're struggling to make that decision, and that's what's making you feel stuck. Because, we can have feelings for people for quite some time before maybe their behaviour changes. Their behaviour can change over time. And if it is to do with addiction, it's really quite difficult to understand. And you may actually still love that person or be very fond of that person and not want to make a decision to move away. Okay, so it's quite a difficult decision you've got to make. The next card I have for you is the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands again is waiting. There's quite an echo of that message here, where you're waiting, not quite sure what kind of decision to make. Maybe you're hoping the decision will be made for you, or something miraculous will happen where this toxicity lifts. So this is you waiting for your ship to come in. Maybe you're kind of looking out, surveying your landscape here, thinking, is there anything else for me out there? Maybe you don't think there is, and therefore that's why you're feeling stuck and a little bit hesitant to make this decision that needs to be made. However, what I would say was, with this as your bottom card, if you notice below, there's also the Sun card. Whatever decision you make, there is a new opportunity coming in here for emotional fulfillment, possibly new love, perhaps not with this person. Maybe you will make the decision to move on, or possibly some decision that you make will enable you to have a fresh start with this person. But, not to cloud over the issue that it is very difficult for people with addictions, or it is very difficult in a codependent relationship to break away. So it may be that you need to find some balance to enable you to find better approaches in order to restore the balance in the current relationship. Or it may be that you make the decision eventually to maybe spend a little time away from this person, and this could be new opportunities for emotional fulfillment coming in. Whatever it is, Virgo, the Sun card is a card of joy, of happiness, of blessings, and it softens the harder messages here to take. So there will be, it's a much more hopeful outcome, whatever decision you decide to make. But I think the overall energy of this reading, or the overall message, is that you do need to make some kind of decision regarding this relationship, probably with a fire sign. I would say a Sagittarian. Okay. However, whoever it is, the King of Wands, if it's not a fire sign, it's someone with the energy of the fire sign. They're quite an adventurous person, probably quite an attractive person and fun to be with, except perhaps when this toxicity is getting in the way. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. And that is a quote from Lao Tzu. Through the magnetism of divine love, you merge with another and love becomes an all-embracing thought. Through a touch, a word, or glance, love unites you to your beloved. The most precious thing is love, and this is your season of love, a time of romance and happiness. You are both beautiful souls. Look within and you will see it. There is a pearl in each of your hearts. Close your eyes and feel it. Through the eyes of love, you will see and feel love's infinite spiritual realm. United by love, nothing matters but each other. What a beautiful card, Virgo. The card of calling in your soulmate. Now, soulmates are not always all love and roses. As you know, some soulmates can come in to teach us a lesson, and some can be quite challenging. Sometimes we have quite a challenging time with a soulmate. Sometimes it's a karmic relationship. Soulmates come in for a certain amount of time and then they leave, or you leave, and you once you've learned the lesson that they came into your life to teach you. So if your lesson is how to be more independent and less codependent, it could be that this person, if you decide to move on, was in your life to teach you how to think more of yourself, how to be brave enough to take that step and make that decision to move on. It could be that if you do move on from this relationship, this new person coming in here, bringing sun and joy and happiness, will be your soulmate. So nothing ever happens for no reason. So everything, should I say, we'll say it the other way around, everything happens for a reason in the universe. Sometimes while you're going through it, it can be very difficult to understand why you have to go through something that's a bit challenging or that's a bit sore on the heart in order to progress to the next stage of your life.